Welcome to Garden Wanderlust, where we step through the gates of Britain's most inspiring independent gardens. Join me, Joseph Lloyd, and together we'll explore these hidden horticultural gems, meet the passionate people behind them, and uncover the stories that make these spaces so special. Today, I'm embracing winter's quiet beauty as we journey into the world of snowdrops. There's something about this time of year, the crisp air, the low winter light filtering through bare branches, and then those first delicate signs of life emerging from the earth. Snowdrops, tiny, unassuming, yet so full of promise. For centuries, these fragile flowers have been a symbol of hope, the first to break through the cold ground, whispering that spring is just around the corner. And today, I'm on a journey to two extraordinary gardens that celebrate snowdrop season in their own unique ways. I'm setting off for the Cotswolds, with my first stop at Colesbourne Gardens, once hailed England's greatest snowdrop garden. I was there to meet head gardener Kate Reynolds to discover what it takes to manage such an extraordinary collection of snowdrops. But before catching up with Kate, I had the unexpected privilege of meeting Colesbourne's owner, Sir Henry Elwes, whose family has a remarkable connection to these delicate winter blooms.
Well, nobody really knows when snowdrops were introduced to the country. It was probably after the Crimean War, or it may even have been the Romans a bit earlier. But the first big snowdrop ever found was found by my great-grandfather in 1874 in what was then the Levant, which is now part of Turkey. And he found that big snowdrop. It was brought back here, and then we had quite a few others that he collected as well, all in the same northeast Mediterranean area. And of course, the more you get of hybridizing. And the bees and the wind blow the pollen all over the place at this time of year, and you suddenly find new ones in the garden with new markings, green on the inside and green on the outside and yellow even. And we've got 250 or more here. And of course, everybody names a variety they find with their own name. We go through all the snowdrops, keeping our eyes wide open, and we suddenly see one with a different shaped leaf or a different marking on it, and we identify it, and we put it aside and watch it for a couple of years, and if it's still the same, that is a new snowdrop. My favourite snowdrop is called Arnott, S. Arnott. It smells of honey, it produces new bulbs very readily, and it attracts the bees, and it's a really nice snowdrop that stands clear of the leaves.
You've had also some pretty important visitors to the garden, including His Majesty King Charles. What did he think of the garden when he came?
Well, he was quite impressed. He was here for about an hour and a half, and my wife gave him an hour and a half of Latin names, and he was exhausted. I think he had mental indigestion by the end of it.
Did he take any back to Highgrove?
He's got quite a few at Highgrove from here. Yes.
Wonderful, yeah. Wonderful.
Some special ones too.
Obviously, it started with your great-grandfather, Henry John. But if he were to perhaps walk through the gardens today, what do you think he would be surprised by? What would delight him?
I think he would be quite impressed, because we followed very much in his footsteps with the plants, the shrubs and the trees that he introduced into this country or collected, and we've brought in younger generations of the same trees now. And I follow very much in his footsteps.
After my chat with Henry, I made my way up to the Snowdrop Wood to meet with head gardener Kate Reynolds. Well, hello Kate, it's lovely to see you, and we are now standing in what I can only describe as a sea of snowdrops. Can you just tell me, where are we?
We are in the woodland, so this is where we come in. If you come to visit us, you will come through the main gates, and this is the first view that you get of Colesbourne.
Wow, and what a view.
It's spectacular.
It is. Are these all the same snowdrops? Or?
Pretty much. There's a few different varieties as you walk through.
There's a lot that goes into looking after a snowdrop garden, isn't there?
Surprisingly, yeah. It almost never stops or starts. Here at Colesbourne we like to move a lot of our snowdrops in the summer, which is quite different to other places. Most of them will do while it's in the green. Approximately March, April time we start to move them. I will do a few of the specialist snowdrops then. I like to know what I'm moving if I've got clumps next to each other. You'll get too many bulbs in a clump. We want to move them, we want to split them, divide them, check for disease, and then we can just expand our display basically.
Right. Oh, I see. So you can kind of almost, where I guess fill gaps.
Fill gaps, yeah,
right.
Exactly that, yeah.
Yeah, just to create a better show.
Yeah.
And it's much, as you say, you're looking for disease, I guess. And,
yeah, that's it.
If there's anything wrong with the snowdrops, you can kind of,
I
guess, remove them from the others.
That's it, exactly. And it saves competition on food and things, so whilst they're in that clump, if there's too many, they don't have to compete for energy.
Looking at the snowdrops now, they look absolutely stunning and they're all in flower, but they don't last very long, do they? So
they're not too bad. I think you get about 4 to 5 weeks out of a snowdrop if the weather's in prime for us. So If we've got sunny, cold weather, happy days. If it's raining and the slugs get a chance to get in there, it does take its toll a little bit.
How long do you recommend you leave them before you actually cut them? Because you say they're 5 weeks, 6 weeks?
Yeah.
Do you just cut them straight down and clear them away?
We don't cut them at all. They will be left just to die back completely on their own. They need all that energy back into the bulb. So what will happen, they'll die back slowly. All the energy from the flower and the leaf will go back into the bulb.
You must have some rare snowdrops here, because I know that some snowdrops are incredibly rare. So perhaps you could just tell me a bit more about some of the rarer snowdrops that you
we
have.
do have a few of the rare ones, yes. They tend to be hidden away though.
Is that for theft?
It has been, yeah,
right.
in the past. Yeah, they are quite sought after. We're almost at, I would say, back in the day we had tulip mania. We've now got a snowdrop mania, I would say.
Galanthophiles, as I understand.
That's exactly
they're
it.
called,
yes,
aren't they?
Yeah,
so.
and it's there's a big money in breeding snowdrops. Real slow process, but that is where the money is made if you are breeding.
So are you going to tell me what the rarest one is that you have?
My rarest
yeah,
one.
Well, rarest snowdrop.
No, I can't.
Oh, okay. Sworn to secrecy.
Sworn to secrecy,
okay.
Exactly that, yeah.
All right, maybe you could tell me when I've switched the microphone off.
And where it's hidden.
Yes, thank you. Yes, I'll look forward to that. Have you discovered one? I mean, I know Henry was saying that they hybridise all the time.
They do, yeah. I think we have 7 that have been found at Colesbourne here, 7 different varieties. I found one last year that I think is different. So far, so good, and it's come back true. So you do have to wait until it's true, and it has to be. So at Colesbourne, we won't name it everything and anything that looks different because they do like to hybridise. They will cross quite happily. It has to look significantly different. Now I have a book with 2,500 varieties of snowdrop in it.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's a lot with white and green marks.
Okay. I was going to say not a lot of colour.
No, it's not a very colourful
a bit
book at all.
green and then mainly white.
Yeah, so I have found one that's different. It's come true again this year and it's flowered nicely. So I will wait 3 years, maybe 4 years.
That is so exciting. Are you going to call it after yourself?
No, because that's just not the cool thing to do.
That's not the cool thing to do.
What would you? I can't name it Katie.
Oh, come on.
Katie Reynolds.
Do you know which species of?
It's a Plicatus byzantine.
Right. Okay.
So we will see. We have a mass of them down by the ice house, and there's quite often some hybrids in there. The more species you've got, the more varieties you've got, the more chance of a different marking, I suppose. I think at the moment there's about 24 species that have been found, flowering right from October through to the end of April.
Are there any future plans for Colesbourne? How do we see it in 10 years' time? How's it going to look? Is it going to look the same, or are there some...
10 years' time, I hope that we've expanded further across the park. There's a few areas I would like to develop that side, just to give a bit more of a show, rather than directly in the garden. So we're going to move out sort of further into the Arboretum side.
Ah, that's a great idea, because
yeah.
I've had a little walk around the Arboretum before I actually came into the garden. And there wasn't that many snowdrops. I saw a few, obviously
There's a few patches
few
coming
patches.
up, yeah.
But I thought, well, that would be really nice to be able to actually allow the snowdrops to bleed into the landscape, as it were.
Yeah.
Would really make a difference. So I love that idea.
Yeah, that's the plan, hopefully.
Excellent.
We'll get there.
Kate and I continued our wander through the woodland and down to the polytunnel, where they prepare the snowdrop stock ready for visitors to purchase.
So these are mainly what any spares, odds and spares from the garden is basically what we're looking at here. Any clumps that have grown a bit too big, as we were discussing earlier. I don't necessarily move them all in the garden. Some will become sale stock.
How many do you actually pot up?
We aim for about 4,000 pots.
4,000? How long does that take you?
If we've got a decent team, we're on about 2 days. So it's not too
Wow.
horrendous. It's a bit monotonous, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
But once you've just got the sort of flow going, it's okay. It's not too bad.
Get the radio on.
Yeah, radio on, that's it, exactly. Have a sing-song and a cup of tea and off you go. We do something called twin scaling. We've just sort of re-established that, really. It's a long process. Once again, we're slicing a snowdrop into about 24 or 32 pieces, depending on the size of the bulb. Then we wait. Hopefully we get some little bulblets coming off of it. We'll give it 3 to 5 years, though, before it's going to flower. You're going to bulk up your display a little bit quicker than sort of the natural way.
After a wonderful morning immersed in the sweeping displays of snowdrops at Colesbourne, I set off just a few miles down the road to Cerney House Gardens. There I met owner Nick Angus, whose energy and passion for the garden were truly contagious. As we walked through his spectacular grounds, his enthusiasm set a brisk pace, one that I did my very best to keep up with. So Nick, thank you so much for inviting me along to your absolutely gorgeous house.
No problem.
And even more gorgeous garden. Perhaps you could just tell me a bit more about, I guess, the history behind it and how you came about to live in such a beautiful place.
Well, it goes back to my parents who moved here in the early 1980s. Although I do come from here, I was actually born in Stroud, so just down the road. But we then moved away from the area. Being away, my father was working out in America, came back to the UK, and they started looking around for a house to live over here. And they came to the Cotswolds, and one thing was that my mother always wanted a walled garden. She was from very humble beginnings, as my father was, but ever since she was a child, she always wanted a walled garden. So they basically drove around looking at walled gardens, and they found this place and decided, yes, we want it. And then the house sort of came in with the
So it was
the deal.
It was the walled garden first.
It was walled garden first.
Doesn't
that's
matter
right.
about the house, but they got some house with,
Yeah, they
with the
did.
walled garden,
Yeah,
didn't
they
they?
did.
I mean,
They did.
Wow.
And so when they moved here, the previous owners had basically grassed over everything for ease of maintenance. It was just getting too expensive. So the walled garden itself was basically just 2 lawns with a pathway going through the middle of it. And then my mother, who's a very keen gardener, and my sister, who is also a keen gardener, then spent 20 years transforming this place and creating what you see today. We're quite unusual. A lot of the big country houses here open just for the snowdrops. So we're open all the time and we never close. February is normally our busiest month of the year.
Gosh.
Because of the snowdrops. Snowdrops has a funny effect on people, and people find it like the start of the new year, and everything's all positive with the snowdrops here, and I think it attracts people, and people just want to see it.
Oh, this is lovely.
Yeah, it is nice.
Yeah. Has this I want to say, has this always been here, or have you actually created it?
You know, when my folks moved here, I'm not sure, there must have been snowdrops. I think just there's snowdrops in the Cotswolds anyhow. I think the degree of them my mother and my sister would have put in. The thing was, when they moved here, I was at university, so I wasn't around, so I didn't actually see it, how it originally was. I've been here, but I didn't, cotton on to snowdrops at all. I didn't really think about it. So I think obviously there would have been snowdrops here, but the scale of them has been added, by my family.
So how big is the actual woodland area, I guess?
I don't know so in total we're about 40 acres.
Right, yeah.
I
think the wall gardens, 3 or 4 acres, isn't it?
That's a good size wall garden.
Yeah. And then, I don't know, I've never really thought about how much the woodland is. So we have a wood here, and we also at the front of the house, because we allow people to walk wherever they want, really. This is part of the reason people like us. We've got the honesty system. We don't have signs all over the place saying don't do this, don't do that. So when you talk about, you used to work for the National Trust, and I love the National Trust, and I'm a member of the National Trust. They are very different to us, and we are deliberately different. So, and our visitors, and we have lots of regulars, love that.
Yeah,
so,
I can imagine. Yeah, so you were saying your wife's she's a doctor.
Yeah, she's a consultant dermatologist at North Bristol.
Right.
Southmead.
Okay.
Near Bristol.
Yeah.
And so she's always been interested in the history of medicine. So we created this area. So this is one area that my mother and my sister did not do. So she created this area of
tripping over there
of plants that are linked to the development of medicine.
Oh, fantastic! So this is like a medicinal garden, I guess.
Yes, and we used to call it the medicinal garden. And we've renamed it the apothecary garden.
Okay.
And we're going to create in our bothy tea rooms, we're going to create this apothecary area, a bit like a chemist type area. And these are the original medicines, or the original plants that are used to create medicines.
This is for, I guess, education?
It's an education thing. I think people are really interested in it because a lot of these are still used as general medicines, and as I said, it's not an alternative medicine here. These are what's created, used to develop the modern medicines that we know today.
As we wandered, Nick led me to the walled garden, a peaceful haven full of history and charm.
When my parents moved here, this path was here, and then to the left of the path was grass, was lawn, and to the right was lawn as well.
And I noticed that on the left-hand side seems to be more the production side, and on this side on the right, is it more ornamental?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, so you've kind of almost got it's a very inviting space though. You've got these little archways with the roses, climbing roses going over, some lovely seating in that area.
Yeah,
and then
what you're seeing is a lot of the preparation that the gardeners have done, our fantastic gardeners have done.
can we go over and have a quick look
Yes,
at the
of course you
production side?
Hello.
Hiya.
Hi.
Hi.
This is a little shop, potting shed. We've enlarged it a bit, but there's always used to be a potting shed here. So we just sell a few things.
Well, this is nice. Lovely.
So one of our claims to fame is that we have Roman snails here, which aren't in many places. You'll know them if you've worked in this area before. They're all hibernating now, but there are very few places in the UK with the concentration of Roman snails, and than we have here. So,
Do visitors who don't know that see a snail and then go, "What is that?"
well, they're very particular. I mean, a Roman snail, it's a very unusual looking snail. I mean, it's very big for a start, and it's almost a Cotswold stone colour. We found Roman remains near the house many years ago, but there are Roman remains there. So we believe there was a Roman settlement here, and they would have left Roman snails here 2,000 years ago. So this is the old gardener's cottage of the house. So it used to be one up, one down, with a central fire, and now it's like a self-service cafe in here. Hello.
Hello.
Hi. We talked earlier about, I think it was yesterday when we talked about, do we mind people being here all the time? And actually, we like it. Jen and I, we don't have children, and so we rattle around the house, and then we see people coming in during the day. As long as they enjoy themselves, we're very happy about it. And you see the people there, and they're just having a nice time, and that's what we're interested in.
So what's here? This is a ruin.
Chapel ruins. Although we were visited by a lovely lady, probably in her 90s, who one of our tenants' parents lived next door to her, and it turns out her grandparents used to own Cerney House, as a complete coincidence, and she came to visit, and she had a super clear mind, and she goes, "Oh, this wasn't the chapel in those days," and this is pre-war, so early 1930s, I think. And she said, "Oh yeah, we used to store apples there." So we're back on the Snowdrop walk, which meanders down to the main house.
So we've looped back.
Yep.
So we're now back to the front of the house.
Yes, we are. So we sort of spent the last 8 years doing the house up, improving the gardens. So we kept the gardens the same as my mother and my sister's vision from all those years ago. So we've improved things, so like the cafe and the apothecary area, but the actual layout, the core layout of it, we've kept the same, and we haven't changed.
So the spirit of it is as per your mother's sort of vision, original
Correct.
vision.
Correct.
Wonderful. I think that's lovely, and I think what you've done it so sensitively, and to be able to open it 364 days of the year is a real achievement. But you've done it in a really, actually quite a simple way, having an honesty system.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you may get the odd person who doesn't pay, but I should imagine most people who come here appreciate the work that you do.
99% of the time, everyone almost make a point of the honesty, and people love that, because that is quite we're a reasonably busy garden, and it's quite unusual to have that. You have that in very small gardens and things like that, but we do get quite a few people. But we just manage it in a certain way, and it works.
Today I uncovered what it really takes to maintain a world-class snowdrop garden. I stumbled across giant Roman snails roaming the Cotswolds, and as for the rare snowdrops at Colesbourne, did I find out where they were hidden? Well, that would be telling. Next time, my snowdrop journey continues in the Cotswolds, where I visit a garden where the snowdrops sit amongst follies. Then I head to South Wales to a snowdrop garden with a twist. If you enjoyed the podcast, please leave us a review. It really helps more people discover the show. And if you'd like to support us, you can do so at buymeacoffee.com. All links are in the episode notes, including details on today's gardens and how you can visit them. Until next time, keep on wandering.